Hello and welcome to Keeping It Young podcast, conversations about marriage, family, and ministry life. I'm Dave.
And I'm Bethlie.
And we are the Youngs.
And we're so glad you've joined us. Thank you for your patience last week as we had to do would you call it a rerun?
Yeah, we actually had to take a little break and pull something out of the archives.
There we go. Archives sounds so much better than rerun.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I had a little bit of a cold and was coughing something terrible. And then several issues came up as well. And we just didn't feel like it was going to be really good, rather than you guys having to listen to me cough through my program. And also doing that to Jamin. We didn't want to cause him to have to edit out all the coughing and all that kind of stuff. So we just took a break and pulled out one out of the archives. In fact, it turned out to be really good because I had several reach out to me this week based on that one that came from the archives.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I was able to help several dads with their sons and several issues like that. So it was a really, really good little diversion there, if you want to use that word. But we certainly hope you've had a great summer. It's so hard to believe it's already August. And here in our ministry in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, we are getting ready to start school. In fact, it's just around the corner.
Yes.
And school is starting. And with that, we have fall programs and fall events and fall messages. And then Bethlie's got quite a bit of traveling coming up here with the ladies' ministry that she does. I know you're speaking at Hoosier Hills Baptist Camp coming up in a few weeks.
Just a couple weeks.
And then what else are you speaking at this fall?
I will be speaking for a church in Chicago, the Waterloos Church.
The Sauk Trail
Baptist
Church.
Thank you. It was slipping my mind. I'm so sorry, ladies from Sauk Trail Baptist. I'll be speaking there at their ladies' conference. And then I will be speaking in October for Hope's Point in Weston, West Virginia. They have a ladies' conference every year in September, October, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. So hopefully I'll see some of you at one of those ladies' retreats. We don't travel as often as we used to, but we do get out some, and I'd love to see you.
Yes, and we have a couples retreat coming up in November.
Yes.
In the Dallas area, in Grapevine, Texas. And so that's coming up. If you'd like any information on any one of those, you can reach out to us at the keepingityoungpodcast.com. And you can also reach out to us certainly on social media. We do Facebook. We also have Twitter, or X, as I guess it's now called. And we do Instagram as well. So we'd love to hear from you about any of that. If you'd like to be a partaker in some of that, then just reach out to us. We can give you the information we have and give you the information where you do make the contact. We schedule, as far as scheduling who comes and all of that, we have no part in that, but we can direct you to those who are in charge of that.
Yes.
So if you'd like to know more about that, we'd be happy to share it with you. Just reach out and let us know. And of course, we've covered a lot of stuff this summer. We talked about, the medicine issue. We talked about caring for aging parents. And I know there's been a lot of feedback from that as well. So thank you, every one of you that reached out, shared your ideas, shared your information. You were a blessing and an encouragement and a help to us. And with the resources some of you gave us, I know we'll also be able to pass that along to others. So thank you for that as well. But it is fall coming fast here. We're still in the month of August here in Poplar Bluff, which typically is very hot.
Yes.
But we had a few days of cooler temperatures, and it was like, wow.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Kind of a little taste of October in the midst of end of July, beginning August, but then August has picked it up this weekend.
Well, this is Bethlie's favorite time of the year coming up. She loves the fall.
Yes.
And she loves to decorate for fall, and we look forward to Thanksgiving. And then, of course, Christmas is coming before we know it, and it's going to be just a great rest of the year. Can't wait.
Wow. Okay, let's just go ahead and start our new series.
Hey, Christmas is my favorite time of the year, bring it on.
I love Christmas too. I'm not quite there yet. We're getting ready to get all of our homeschool materials out. All of our Abeka boxes were delivered last week, and they were on our porch, and it was a busy, busy day, and we got home that night, and I said, they probably should be brought in instead of left on the porch. And Charity was like, who's going to steal homeschool materials? But obviously we don't want them left in the elements. So they have been brought in, but that was where they stopped. They've just been brought in. So we actually need to open those boxes sometime soon.
And
so I think
check 'em out.
My brain is like, oh, let's not talk about Christmas. Let's at least get Charity's senior year underway.
And can you all believe that? We're down to a senior. We have a senior, and Charity's already making plans towards college. And these are just
okay. Let's just not even talk about that either. We're just going to get her school year underway. Let's say it that way, because saying the baby is a senior, yeah, that's hard.
Apparently, there's a ton of stuff I'm not supposed to talk about today. Christmas, graduation, college. So
Which leads us right smack into this little series we're going to be doing on books, different book recommendations that we have for you. And the first one is on marriage, about commitment and conflict resolution.
Sure. And what we thought we'd do in the coming weeks here is do a little series that we're going to call Books That Can Help and Why. Mm-hmm. And we just, we have random books that we find along the way or that someone sends to us or that we purchase. We're always looking for books. And I think many of you that have been with us for the long haul here in the podcast, you're aware of the fact that Bethlie and I love to read. And one of the things we've aimed at doing for many years is trying to find books on marriage, books on family, books on raising children, books even about the bedroom from a Christian perspective.
Yes.
Because we've always wanted to work at our own marriage, but also have resources that we can offer to others to help them. And so we thought, why don't we throw some books out there? Many of you are not readers, and I honestly, we understand that. It's kind of true to our culture. But I also know that those who take the time to read, whether that's sitting down with a book, which is my personal favorite. I love to sit down with a book in my hand, read it. I have a method where I take notes. I put, comments in the margins and all that. I can read a book on my iPad, but I don't feel like the notes feel the same to me. So
right.
It's a habit to me. Bethlie reads books, but also listens to books.
Yes.
And that's certainly valid. Many of you may not ever read some of the books we're going to recommend, so we thought we'd give you the highlights from it, but also recommend you consider purchasing it. Here's what I tell. We have a group of young men in our church who desire to be in ministry or to be in leadership, and as I'm trying to help them to read certain books, my challenge to them has been, get a book, read one chapter a day.
Yes.
Just one chapter a day. That's 7 chapters a week. That's 30 chapters a month. That would read at least 3 or 4 or 5 books, and sometimes a book a month, because some books only have 30 chapters or whatever. And it's been my habit that once you begin getting in the habit of reading, your reading speed and comprehension quickens,
yes,
and then you can read faster and read more. So we don't know how what you'll do with all this necessarily, but here's the first book we thought we would talk about in our series, Books That Can Help and Why. And it's a book I'm holding here in my hand. It's called 10 Pillars of an Awesome Marriage. It's subtitled, Don't Endure What You Can Enjoy.
I love that.
And I thought the title was good. I like a book that lets you know kind of where it's going, how to have an awesome marriage, and 10 pillars that can help you to have it. And so I like this book. The author is Charles Shoemaker, Dr. Charles Shoemaker. And just looking through the autobiography that he puts on the back, Dr. Shoemaker and his wife Sharon have been married for 50 years. So I'd say they have some experience.
Yes.
And what I love here is they share a lot from experience, but they also share a ton from the Word of God. Mm-hmm. It's obvious they have built their marriage and their ministry on God's Word. And they also have 2 daughters, Amy and Emily. They have 2 sons-in-laws in full-time ministry. They have 2 grandsons and 4 granddaughters. And the autobiographical sketch here shows that Dr. Shoemaker has conducted marriage and family conferences throughout North America, Asia, Central America, and Europe. So this guy knows what he's talking about and has much experience in doing so. We don't know Dr. Shoemaker super well, but we've met him.
Yes.
And one of the things that's interesting about our relationship with him, the church I now pastor here in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, as we were, wrestling through the decision, God, is this where you're leading us? Should we move there? Dr. Shoemaker was a man that I shared a conference platform with, and in our conference there together, it was really the first time I'd gotten to meet him really one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And he has spoken at the church here throughout the years many times in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and was really close friends with the former pastor. So he did have a part in our getting to this ministry.
Yes.
And so that's just a little side there, but worth our certainly considering. If you start in the book, let's talk about a few things. We had a little introduction to the author. And then just kind of let's do an overview of the book. So if you look through the book, you're going to find there are 10 chapters, and they are neatly alliterated.
Yes.
And so all the chapters begin with the letter C. Why don't you read through those, and you give the title of the chapter, and I will give kind of the explanation of it. How about that?
All right. The first chapter is called Core Values.
And what Dr. Shoemaker does in this chapter is he just talks about having values that help you to build a strong foundation for your marriage. That's a really good chapter.
Compatibility.
Compatibility is about understanding each other.
And chapter 3 is called Commitment.
He talks about commitment from the perspective of staying connected in the hard times. Mm-hmm. And we're going to zero in on that chapter a little bit here in a moment.
Wonderful. Chapter 4, is communication.
And that's about learning to share openly and lovingly.
And you know what? That is probably the number one thing that we hear couples say to us when they come to us for counsel and we ask, what would be your heartbeat to learn during the counsel times? They say, we need help with communication.
Yes. And so we probably ought to find a book and do a whole series on that one for sure.
Probably.
It's a huge one. How about number 5?
Number 5 is conflict resolution.
This is about solving disagreements peaceably. And I like that one. We've said through the years that conflict resolution is not to be avoided, but we have to learn how to handle it in a healthy way.
Chapter 6 is called charity.
That's about loving unconditionally. I like that chapter because he kind of zeroes in on 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, the charity chapter in the King James Version, and does a really great job of just defining the words and laying that out there.
Yes, that's wonderful. Number 7 is choices.
This is about making wise decisions as a couple regarding your marriage and family.
And chapter 8 is companionship.
He calls this, I thought was an interesting choice of words. He called that living as positive partners. Not negative, not belittling, but positive partners. I liked that one.
And chapter 9, I keep skipping chapters, sorry. Chapter 9 is chemistry.
Enjoying marital intimacy. That's chemistry.
Yes, very
important. And I'd
important.
say we have pretty good chemistry, don't we, Lo?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Chapter number 10 is Christ and his church.
And basically in this chapter, he just, as he concludes it, he talks about going the distance with God's help. And there's one more it's not really a chapter, but it is a conclusion. And I thought it was interesting that he ended the book just with a final word from his wife. So it's almost like he wrote things. And here's what she says: "When my sweet husband asked me to write the last chapter of this book, I laughed. No, thank you. No way. Are you kidding me? I'm not doing it. Read my lips. No siree. Nope. Nada. No comprende." And then she said, "Then being the sweet submissive wife that I am, or at least try to be, I surrendered." And I just thought that was really a neat thing. And she has just a couple of, just a few little words of to share here. And I really, really enjoyed her final, just 2 pages, 3 pages of really a good way to conclude the book.
Just kind
really
of wrapping it all up.
Just a real sweet thing to read at the end.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I hope we're only going to concentrate on a couple of these chapters, commitment and conflict resolution, because those are the 2 that, yes, keep coming up. The communication does come up too, and probably we'll cover that maybe in a different episode. But commitment is important. Conflict resolution is important.
Yes.
And maybe by reading all of the chapter titles and a little bit about what they contain, we've whet your appetite to actually order this book and read it.
And you can Google it, 10 Pillars of an Awesome Marriage by Dr. Shoemaker. And I think you'll enjoy the book. So let's just jump in while the time we have today and cover one chapter in the remaining time. Chapter 3 is about commitment. And here's what I love about this. When he begins talking about commitment, he starts by reminding us of our wedding vows. Mm-hmm. And read through those wedding vows. Just remind us, those of us who are married, these will ring in our heart, but let's just think them through.
This is the gist of what we say when we are vowing our lives to each other. We say for better or for worse. We say in sickness and in health. We say forsaking all others. And we say until death do us part.
That's just a couple of the pretty heavy lines there. And sometimes those become just routine.
Yeah.
You go to a wedding, you hear people say those all the time. But because a wedding from a Christian perspective is a covenant relationship between a man, a woman, and Almighty God.
Yes. And
because we do it, we will say, in the sight of God and this company, or sometimes we say in the sight of God in this church. Mm-hmm. It really is just a real reminder. The beginning of this chapter reminds us that the commitment is really huge.
Yes.
We're not just, well, we'll try this out, and if it doesn't work, you go your way, I'll go my way. That's not what marriage is all about. A Christian marriage is just about a commitment that involves vows. And one of the things he comments about in the book is if Ecclesiastes chapter 5. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 5, the writer says, "Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou should vow and not pay." Mm. And God takes it very seriously when we make a vow.
Oh, yes.
It's a very holy matter to make a vow. And that's why in our marriage counseling, when we do premarital counseling, when Bethany and I, meet with a young couple and they're all, googly eyed and they're, getting ready to start their relationship, we really do back up and remind them that what you're about to do here is huge. This is a very serious matter. And one of the reasons that we have taught, some of you remembered that some months ago, we did a whole series on how to have a Christian wedding. And one of the reasons we talk about things like it ought to be, very modest.
Yes.
We ought to make sure that our music is not frivolous. It's not ungodly. It in no way distracts from the sacredness and the holiness. One of the reasons we recommend is you never serve alcohol at a wedding. And you even, I know the dancing thing's a big deal, but part of the reason we take maybe a little bit of a more conservative approach to marriage is because it is such a sacred and holy commitment on that day.
Yes, and I know the word commitment is a strong word, but we have often even used the word covenant. It is not just a commitment. We live in a commitment breaking society. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit, but it's so easy for us to be like, oh, I have this appointment. I just can't make it. An appointment is so different than a marriage, a lifelong marriage. So often we will say, you're not just making a commitment to one another, you're making a covenant. But in the book, the word commitment is used.
Yes. And so we know that he starts out here with just a reminder of how serious this is.
Yes.
And I like that because it's worth our stopping and reminding. He puts a line in here that I thought was great too. As someone said, the last couple to live happily ever after was Cinderella and Prince Charming. And it's not about life is always easy and always happy. We have to have a commitment because worse times will come.
Yes.
We have to have a commitment because health issues can come. And we have a commitment because we are forsaking all others, and God's plan for the marriage is all the way till death. And that's just a huge deal. So what he reminds us of here is that it's just super, super, super important. And in light of that, there are at least a couple of things here we should draw attention to. And the first one is, why is it that commitment is such a struggle for us in our generation? And he lists three. You may be able to think of a few more, but I appreciated the three he listed. Why don't you list those for us? Why is commitment such a struggle for us today?
Well, the culture we live in, I kind of alluded to this just a few minutes ago, that it's just so easy for us to not be committed to things. I was just listening to an audiobook this morning, and they were talking about how in our work culture, young people can be hired, or even middle-aged people in our culture can be hired, and it is nothing to them to take this brand new job and then just not show up a couple of days a week, or to take time off, at the last minute to say, hey, I had this come up. I have an opportunity to get my hair cut, or my aunt just came in town, or whatever. And so we have a whole society of people who, for whatever reason, feel like, I made a commitment to you. I told you I was going to work for you, but if I have something better come along, that's okay. I can do that too. And that just spills over, I think, into our cultural view of marriage, how that people just, I made a commitment to you, but does it really matter in the long run if you're rubbing me the wrong way, or if you upset me or you irritate me, then probably I could look for something better.
Right. And, we also have this modeling in our society from, everything from the movie stars to athletes to politicians to recording artists, and even to our social media influencers, men like Andrew Tate, that is so anti-marriage and ridicules it and laughs about it. We're just living in a generation where the culture we're living in is totally anti the covenant or the commitment of marriage.
Yes.
So that's the first reason. What are the other two he gives?
He says that there are low standards in many Christian homes.
Yeah, and I thought, that's not wrong, because a lot of times in our generation, holy living is just not practiced at all.
Right.
In fact, the idea of holiness in any way, shape, or form is a little bit sneered at and ridiculed,
right,
especially if it affects the way I want to live my life. And as long as holiness doesn't affect me, as long as it doesn't mean I have to give something up or change something or alter something, I'm okay with holiness. But the moment holiness says, you know what, you can't wear that or do that or look at that or listen to that if you're going to really go all in for Christianity, that becomes a real problem in our society. So that low standard, and it's, it's so commonplace, actually spills over into a marriage. And sometimes that low standard is one of the things that cause us to drop the commitment.
Well, even Christian young people going into marriage do not have the same outlook that maybe Christianity should have, that they do go into it with, well, I hope we're together forever, but if not, I mean, it's okay, right? That's what grace is for, or that's what the church is for, to come and help us pick up the pieces, or my family will always love me. I don't know if I'll always love him. There are just so many different aspects that people, or perspectives that people bring to marriage. And unfortunately, even in Christianity, we have not kept up the commitment to teaching what true biblical marriage is to our children, and then young people go into it with maybe a lackadaisical perspective.
Absolutely. So here's one more then, and this one I thought was a very unique one. Why is it that commitment is such a struggle for us today? And he said, because of delayed consequences.
What do you mean by that?
And I just found this one very fascinating. He talked about how that sometimes in marriage counseling, couples will come in and there's been a failure on the husband's part or the wife's part, but they're okay. It's like, okay, God, why haven't you punished them for this? Why aren't you taking care of this? God, where are you in all of this? Well, God is long-suffering. God is merciful. And one of the things I say frequently in our counseling with couples is that God is not just concerned about a change of behavior.
Yes.
God is also desiring a heart that is changing, not just a behavior, but a heart that is not only changing, but is developing, is becoming a Christ-like heart, controlled by the Word of God through the power of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And because sometimes people are just so, where is God in all this? They tend to, in his words in the book, they tend to walk away rather than work it out. And I thought, that's a unique one. I hadn't really thought about that one. And he does add to it that we should not forget that consequences for violating God's word always come, and there is always a price to pay for disobedience. But in the process of it, in a marriage covenant relationship, the commitment says, I'm going to stay here and we're going to work this out. And we're gonna make this happen. I'm gonna do my part to say, in sickness or in health, for better or for worse, till death do us part. I'm living my commitment.
Yes.
So I thought that was a good little section. We have one more, and we have time to go over just one more today. And as we talk about this section called commitment, he gives us several truths to remember. And it really just starts out with the big one. The big word here in this section is commitment is a
choice.
It's a choice.
Yes.
I choose to be committed. And he listed that in several ways. The first one being we choose to stay married. And it's pretty simple, isn't it? It's just that, no matter what, we're going to stay married. No matter what, I'm here. No matter what decision you make, I'm not going anywhere. When it's hard, we're staying. When it's easy, we're staying.
Right.
And when finances are struggling, we're staying.
Yes.
So it begins here. This commitment is a choice that we're going to stay married. Now, I like these next two. These next two are really important.
Yes.
And we'll close on these. Number 2, give that one. This is so good.
We choose to make our spouse happy to be married to us.
I like that.
Yes.
I thought that was so good. What is the choice in a commitment? I choose to make you happy to be married to me.
Yes.
And you choose to try to make me happy to be married to you. That's so foreign.
It is. Often in our culture, even sadly, in church culture, our whole perspective is you are here to make me happy when we're looking at marriage. I would think, well, if David isn't making me happy, then do we really need to be committed to this? And yes, okay, we can make the choice to stay married, but he's not making me happy. Well, for me to just put off that selfishness and say, well, what am I doing to make sure that David is enjoying being married to me? Am I doing anything to make sure that that is happening?
Commitment, I guess we could say, is not about what I get from my marriage, but what I give.
Yes.
And if I'm giving of myself for my spouse and I'm pursuing, how can I make you happy? And really that's why people get married maybe to begin with, because they work so hard at making the other one happy.
Yes.
They pursue one another and they try so hard. And yeah, you have little spats when you're dating, but what do? You work at making each other happy and you overcome them and you move on. And there comes a point at which someone says, this person just makes me so happy. And as long as that commitment is there in a marriage, we are working to keep our spouse happy. And he says this, bring joy to your spouse. He says, bless your spouse. He says, serve your spouse.
Yes.
And that's about selflessness. It's about me not looking so much for my rights, but me about pursuing you because I'm married to you, and I want I want to do all I can to please you, to honor you, to bless you. He even uses that word, bless your spouse. And I like that. What happens there? When that's happening, what are we doing? We're making each other happy, and when each other's happy, it's easy to be committed in that situation.
And can we say that this works best when both spouses are working on this? When I work to bring joy and blessing and service to David, and he works to bring joy and blessing and service to me, it just makes for a happy marriage. Girls, can I talk to you a little bit? Sometimes our husbands truly think nothing I do ever makes her happy. I can do what she asked me to do, and she doesn't like the way I did it. I can buy her something that I think is going to bring her joy. She doesn't like what I bought her because maybe I bought the wrong brand, or
she just laughs about it.
Or whatever. Girls, I would say, because we are, by and large, not in every marriage, but by and large, the more emotional of the two, we have a grave responsibility in this aspect of commitment, that not only are we working to make our husbands happy, but that he knows he can make us happy.
Yeah, and that's so good. And I'll just say this as well. If both of you can't do it, then one of you doing it will make a difference.
That's true.
And so keep at it. We got time just for one more thing here. Commitment is a choice. So we choose to stay married. We choose to make our spouse happy to be married to us. And the last one is pretty simple. We choose to continue growing together.
Yes.
And he gives two illustrations. The first one is that if you have a car and you don't put gas in it, eventually it stops running. Mm-hmm. If you don't keep fuel burning, if you don't keep the car full of fuel, the car will stop running. And he just says very simply, what do we do in a marriage? We keep pouring fuel on the fire. We keep it hot. We keep encouraging. We keep strengthening. We keep investing in the marriage, because the more we invest, the better it runs.
Yes.
And I thought that was a good illustration. And then he gave one more. It was about a plant. And he talks about if you have two plants and you put one in the closet and close the door and forget about it, it will die. Mm-hmm. But if you take the other one and you water it and you care for it and you give it its nutrients and you give it sunlight, that plant will flourish. That's how God designed it to be. And a lot of people treat their marriage like the plant in the closet. We don't have time for each other. We're busy. We ignore the situation. We ignore them. We don't do anything to help. We give no nutrients, no life, no sunshine, no beauty. It will die. It's inevitable. But if, on the other hand, we're committed to providing, to meeting the needs, what happens is we can see God's hand at work in a marriage. Commitment is a great word in this chapter, and it's a chapter I think all of our listeners should read.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
It's very, very good.
Any final thoughts before we sign off today?
I think we can hold off until next time, where we will be talking about conflict resolution according to the book 10 Pillars of an Awesome Marriage.
That is correct. Hey, we're so glad you joined us today. Of course, you're listening to the Keeping It Young podcast. You can find us online. You can find us on social media. You can even reach out to us via cell phone if you'd like to do so. We appreciate you joining us and being a part of our family. Hey, whatever else you do this week, make sure that you serve the Lord with gladness.